Welcome to episode 128 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. Are you a business owner or executive searching for practical strategies to grow your company? This podcast series focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business and is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives, but anyone interested in business can benefit. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. In the previous episode, 127, our guest was Thurman Trotman, discussing From Spreadsheets to Systems. Today's episode discusses the Introverts Advantage with Tom Schwab. Based out of the greater Kalamazoo, Michigan area, Tom Schwab is a Chief Evangelist Officer and founder of Valet, a company that specializes in podcast interview marketing. Let's welcome Tom Schwab. Tom, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Brian, I am thrilled to be here.
Thanks for joining us today, Tom. Tom, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background in becoming the Chief Evangelist Officer and founder of Valet, a company that specializes in podcast interview marketing?
Yeah, it only makes sense in the rearview mirror, right? So the story only makes sense looking back. Midwest boy that went to the U.S. Naval Academy, graduated from there, learned how to run nuclear power plants, did that in the Navy for about 5 years. And I never thought it would land here, but every step has been where I learned something, working in corporate America, working in medical device sales, running my own e-commerce company, and realizing that business is all about getting heard, known, liked, and trusted by those people that could be your ideal clients. And today that's not breaking through the noise, that's getting in on the conversation. And that's what we're doing at Valet. For the last decade, we've helped thought leaders, business owners get heard by their customers. And now the AI that refers them, that's one of the most amazing parts today.
Oh, yeah, the way AI is coming on. Your story is not too dissimilar from mine. Every step that I took led me to where I am today. It's very interesting. None of us have a straight line.
And I always say the best piece of fiction I ever wrote or ever read was my business plan. And you could say the life plan too. You think that you've got everything figured out and then life happens, but it's a magic thing. And I'm glad to be where I am.
This episode's topic is the Introverts Advantage. While they're quietly powerful, what are the unique strengths of introverts?
I think the days of the extroverted carnival barker are behind us. People used to think, well, that's what you need to be successful in business or in sales. And today it's just the opposite, right? Those people are starting to get turned off and people are choosing who they listen to. And I think introverts have deeper conversations. They're more thought out. I always call them the humble heroes. And today's world is built for them, right? That just you and I today, right? We can having a conversation one-on-one over Zoom and the whole world can listen into you. So I think the introverts have a distinct edge today. And one of the things we looked at in our clients, that 2/3 of our clients are introverts. And these are people that may not feel comfortable on stages giving a keynote, but they are so powerful on podcast interviews, sharing their experience and point of view.
Following up on that, Tom, how about the Introverts Advantage? Why quiet conversations can drive major business growth?
Yeah. And it's the idea of, I believe we're all one conversation away, right? For a long time in marketing, people are like, oh, you're one funnel away. No, it's these conversations that drive meaningful change, right? And this could be a conversation that you listen to on a podcast. It could be a conversation that brings you your next great customer, maybe your next great team member. And introverts are great at having meaningful conversations one-on-one with people. And I think that's what people are valuing today more than just the noise.
We're speaking with Tom Schwab, Chief Evangelist Officer and founder of Interview Valet, a company that specializes in podcast interview marketing. Do traditional marketing strategies clash with your introverted nature? Tom Schwab, our guest today, gets it. As the godfather of podcast interview marketing, he's helped thought leaders get heard. His book, Podcast Guest Profits: How to Grow Your Business with a Targeted Interview Strategy, is a must-read. Tom believes the future of marketing lies in genuine connection, clear communication, and sincere empathy. Introverts Superpowers. Discover how to embrace your strengths and make a meaningful impact with podcast interview marketing. Now, let's get back to the questions. Tom, how can you match your business to your personality for unbeatable results?
The founder's values and personality come through in the business. And I think more than more today, people want that, right? The idea of a brand without a face behind it, people aren't working with that. And you want to be who you are. And I think today marketing should be magnetic, right? It should attract the right people and repel the wrong people. And let me give you an example. My company calls them Tomisms, where I have said things so often that they start bringing it in there. Things like patience is a virtue. It's not one we have. Or hope is not a strategy. These things that are core values to us, and people, prospective clients hear those and they either resonate with them or they don't. And either way is fine. I want people to be able to turn us up or turn us off. If we're not the people for them, I would rather them know that early on. So I think more and more, your branding should be your personal point of view, how you see the world, how you see working with customers. And too often, I think people talk about branding as a color, a logo. And it's like, no, that's not branding. That's blanding, right? How to fit in with everyone else. Branding should be how you can stand out.
Tom, you mentioned one funnel away. How does one funnel away hurt introverts versus one conversation away?
I think one funnel away is dehumanizing to people. This idea that we're all going to be pushed through this funnel and just like objects. I think people are pushing back on this today, and that no one wants to be treated like that. They wanted to be treated as an individual. And you can see this, even marketing has done it. How can we make things more individualized for people? And then they mess up on it by saying, dear first name on an email. So I think this idea of putting everybody in a funnel and that they're going to move from step to step to step is wrong. I think of one of our clients, Ari Galper, great salesperson. Ari talks about this idea that the better your marketing is, the easier your sales is. And he says that he rejects the idea of the sales funnel, this idea that I need 1,000 people to come in and, I'll have a conversation with 1,000 to get one client. He's like, that's not good for the client or the prospects, and it's not good for me. He's like, can't we go back to the sales cylinder? I'll have conversations with 5 people and 4 of them will become clients. And people are like, well, that doesn't scale. It may not scale, but you know what? It's very, very effective.
When you mentioned the email, dear first name, a memory flashed in my mind. Several years ago, I got an email, dear number 142.
Did that make you feel like a valued client or a valued prospect? No.
Not really. Well, Tom, what results or lessons learned have you seen with businesses and individuals that have implemented your recommendations?
I think the one that's most telling right now is that AI is listening. And last week, I had a conversation with a fractional CMO, and she was working with 5 people that were all in the same space doing the same job, right? She was the expert in that space. And she came back to me and she said, one of my clients is getting recommended in AI through ChatGPT, Perplexity. And the only thing they did differently last year was to be featured on podcast interviews. Mm-hmm. And she came back and said, we need to get the other 4 on there too. And I think that's the biggest thing now, that we need to talk with our clients, right? As the market and the world has changed, right? The people have turned off ads. There's ad blockers. They're suspicious of self-promoting posts. They think everything's AI written. Even the idea of SEO, search engine optimization. How can I get to be the number 1 in Google? Well, people aren't even going to Google anymore. They're asking a friend, and that friend is often Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT. So the question is how can you get promoted with podcast, promoted via AI? And it's clear now that AI is indexing human content, and a great part of human content is podcast interviews.
We're speaking with Tom Schwab, Chief Evangelist Officer and founder of Interview Valet. Tom, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
I guess one of the big things is the older I get, the more I focus on the strategy as opposed to the tactics. I think of my grandfather. He was a small business owner, and he wouldn't have understood all the tools that we're working with today, but he'd understand why we're using them. I could explain to him that, how you used to go to the Chamber of Commerce and the country club and be those places where your ideal customers were so you could talk with them. He'd say, oh yeah, that always worked in business. I'd say, well, now you can do it through the internet. You can go on podcasts. You can talk with people. And while he wouldn't understand the internet or podcast, he would look and say, I know that works. And it seems easy because I don't have to travel. I don't have to invest stuff. One client told me that they were starting to do the Warren Buffett School of Marketing. And I said, what is that? And he's like, Warren Buffett will not invest in something that he doesn't understand. And he said, for so many years now, I've been investing in things that I didn't understand. We were always chasing the SEO algorithm. He says, one thing I know is when I talk to the right people, I get business from it. So he says, that's why I'm doing podcast interview marketing.
Tom, how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go back to interviewvalet.com/BCF. Everything Brian and I talked about will be there. There's a assessment, 10 questions. Will podcast interview marketing work for you? And there's a copy of my book there, Podcast Guest Profits. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can get a free copy there. And then if you'd like to connect with me, I'll put my social media, my calendar, all of that right there at interviewvalet.com/BCF.
Tom, thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. My sincere thanks to Tom Schwab for joining us today. Managing the performance and future direction of your company are two of the most important things you do as a leader. This podcast is on YouTube and over 20 podcast directories. In search, type BCF ORG. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. And don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. And I'm here to help you. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, help you with a podcast, schedule a speaking engagement, or potentially be a guest like Tom, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. All the podcasts are available by clicking on the website podcast page in the reference bar. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. In the next episode, 129, our guest will be Ryan Hogan, discussing pricing your product or service. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You're never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks.